Yeah, pickup trucks really did peak with the square body Chevrolet. When I was growing up, my dad would alternate between two types of pickup trucks. Nissan hardbodies when he decided he needed something with slightly better gas mileage and didn't need something big, and square body Chevrolet trucks. One in particular wasn't a truck, it was a K5 Blazer, but he also had a C10 and a late 70s K10. But Blazer was his daily for many years. Gloss black, maroon interior, a chrome this sticker in the window of the top. It was a great truck, and it was a sad day when it finally got parted out. Back then, these trucks were fairly disposable. His K10 was a really beat up mud truck that he had bought because it had a plow. When he bought the Blazer when I was about 7, he needed a replacement driver's side door to pass mains inspection. There was one bad spot where the rust had just gone right through it. Back then, you could walk into VIP Auto Parts in Belfast and walk out with pretty much any replacement body panel for a square body Chevrolet, courtesy of a company called LMC. That company still exists, but the fact that you could walk into your typical auto parts store and walk out with a brand new door speaks volumes about how ubiquitous these trucks were. They were everywhere, and with GM straying further away from those famous square bodies with their GMT 800 trucks in 1999, these trucks were now cheap in the used market. Plow trucks, trail toys, service trucks, daily drivers. Their simplicity made them easy to work on. Their large production volumes meant that parts were cheap, both new and in the junkyard. You could fix just about anything with these old trucks with a little bit of common sense, some tinfoil, and a paperclip. With each newer generation of GM truck, that simplicity would get lost with time. But with the square body, these trucks were perfect for young wrenches to gain experience in becoming mechanics. Tune the quadrijet carburetor. Learn the inner workings of the GM 10-bolt axles and its C-clips. Replace bent or broken tie rods after off-roaded misadventures. Rust repair and prevention. All of this could be done on a tight budget. I watched my dad do an engine swap, a transmission swap, and a rear end swap in our backyard at separate times. All performed on a budget, and all performed with some basic tools and a buddy. And as I've grown up, like many my age, a square body Chevy reminds us of our youth. I've longed for one of my own, and I get giddy when I see one every time on the road today. And I'm not the only one, as prices for these formerly disposable pickup trucks have skyrocketed in recent years. We long for those simpler days of learning how to operate a Fisher plow in the middle of a snowstorm, playing in a swamp with your buddy after one of your dads misread a mud hole on a trail, or picking blueberries on the top of Haystack Mountain on a nice summer day. And as kids like me grew up, demand for that nostalgia drove prices way up. The square body was the third generation of Chevrolet's CK line and replaced the outgoing second-gen Action line in 1973. It was refreshed multiple times, with the most notable being the 1980s update saw an updated driveline selection and simpler styling. Straight 6s, V6s, a couple of small block V8s, big block V8s, and a couple of diesels were all available at various times during the square body's life. And boy, did it have a life. The line would see its first discontinuations after 1987 when the much more modern GMT 400 trucks were introduced in 1988. This saw the replacement of the half-ton and three-quarter-ton models. However, the square body line would serve through 1991 in its one-ton dualies and SUVs, before they too were replaced for 1992. This long life, coupled with the line's popularity throughout, was why these trucks were so ubiquitous. An almost 20-year run in some shape or form. And honestly, this was the pinnacle of the simple pickup truck that I harped on in multiple episodes. I filmed a GMT 400 truck a while back, but its throttle body, fuel injection, and independent front suspension are space age compared to this K10's solid front axle and Harley carburetor. Last week I covered the 11th generation Ford F-150, and I talked about how it was continuing the transition of the pickup truck from a simple tool to more of something of a fashion statement. Something you could daily in comfort. Something that modern pickup trucks, I feel, suffer from being. But this 1984 Chevrolet K10 Silverado is the exact opposite of this. It's simply a truck that's not only easily repairable, but it's easily upgradable. An off-the-shelf exhaust, a Holley 600 carburetor, an Edelbrock intake. There's all simple installs on this old truck. There is also a Dixie horn that's since long blown from constant use by the owner's buddies. Aside from that, she's just a worn-out old truck. She starts up when the owner asks for, makes all the right noises that you'd want from a Chevy small block, and constant smiles and waves from those remembering their own experience with square-body Chevys are plentiful to be found. And no, these trucks weren't perfect by any stretch of the means. Dashes commonly crumbled to pieces over time. The TH700R Ford transmission was known for having its own issues, and the frames liked to crack behind the steering box. And, quite honestly, these trucks are archaic in feel compared to a modern truck like last week's F-150. You get a bench seat that provides no support, the steering's loose, and the axles underneath those leaf springs send every bump up your spine. But this is when trucks weren't expected to be your daily commuter while also providing the comforts of a large car. They were the perfect second vehicle, something to haul toys or mulch around on weekends, something to take to work, something to take down to Lake St. George on the weekend, something to build memories with your children with. I absolutely love square body Chevy trucks. They are beautifully simple, have aged well, especially the later ones. My own rose-colored glasses look back upon my youth of good times in these trucks. Modern trucks are simply too large and brutish now. Each passing generation tries to out the competition in previous generations. But a square body still has class. It knows its place in the world, and is the perfect representation of a much simpler time. I want one of my own someday, and I'm very glad to have driven this one. Thank you once again for watching another episode of Wookie Drives. Thank you so much to Noah of Belmont, North Carolina for letting me take a trip down memory lane. If you have a truck or a car of your own that you'd like to have on the show, be sure to message my Facebook page at facebook.com/WookieDrives. And hopefully we could work something out, especially now that racing's back and I'm very busy right now. For other shenanigans, be sure to check out my Twitter page at WookieAutomoTV, and I now have an Instagram, also at WookieAutomoTV. I'm specifically looking for cars in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, so hit me up. Be sure to like the video, leave a comment with any feedback, hit the share button, and hit that subscribe button for more Wookie content. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.
Every day, more Americans work with Chevys than any other truck. Up early, USA. There's a lot of work to get done every day. When you're working hard for a buck, there ain't nothing like a tough Chevy truck. The day is long, sometimes it is rough from all the picking it up, yeah, and dropping it off. And when push comes to shove, nothing works like a Chevy truck. That's been true for the past 50 years combined, and it's still true today. In fact, more people bought Chevys this past year than any other truck. There ain't nothing getting in your way, 'cause working hard for Chevy